All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Terence Bud Crawford and his trainer, specifically his trainer BOMAC, who gave an interview this weekend, updating everybody on what's going on with Terence Crawford and his thoughts on the Errol Spence Jr. fight and what's next for him, and some things left his mouth. However, some things also left his body language, and it ain't good news. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where time is officially up as of yesterday for Terence Crawford to enter into an agreement with Alexis Rocha to defend his WBO title against the mandatory challenger, Rocha. And there was interviews that were given out this weekend by both Brian McIntyre, who had a fighter on another card, where he was asked about it, asked what was going on with Terence Crawford, and he gave some very interesting answers. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And if you are a long-time subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for your support in the super chats of the live streams and in the super thanks of videos like this. They are greatly, greatly appreciated. But let's get into it. Well, first and foremost, BOMAC was asked about the Alexis Rocha fight, what's going on with Terence Crawford. And he said that Terence Crawford is currently in talks for 3 fights. At one point, he said 3 fights. I think at another point, he said 2 fights. But he said, first, we got to get this Alexis Rocha thing done. And he showed some real honesty in it, because he referred to it as a sparring match, right? And I just couldn't help but say, man, God dog, you got to love honesty, because that's what a lot of people are going to feel about that fight. Just like the last fight was a sparring match. And the fight before, 2 fights before that was a sparring match. And the fight before that was a sparring match. You know, it's almost like, okay, man, all right, when are we going to get a good fight, right? But this particular fight, I suppose, is really not Terence Crawford's fault, because it was mandated by the WBO, or at least, that's how any reasonable interpretation of it should go, because, his mandatory was there. However, there is another alternative way to look at it, which is for coming from people that wonder, why did they order this WBO mandatory early? Because the WBO gives 18 months for the super champion, which is what Terence Crawford is. He's not just a regular WBO champion. He's a WBO super champion. Gives you 18 months to make that fight. So why are you making it so early? It made people like myself and others speculate that Terence Crawford approved it, or either requested it or approved Alexis Rocha as a mandatory, because like BOMAC said, and like Terence Crawford has said before, he's trying to fight 3 times this year. Now, when BOMAC was asked about the Errol Spence Jr. fight, he got a little less, a little less solid, right? Which was like, yeah, we've talked to him. We're also talking to, I think he said 3 other people, 3 other camps to try to get things done. And, hopefully that fight gets done. The way that it sounded to me is that he's saying, man, that he's like, his body language said everything like, nah, man, that's not going down. All right. So all of the conversation that we had about an Errol Spence Jr. fight with Terence Crawford going down in June, we can flush that. We can flush that. Okay. Because BOMAC said that he expected Terence Crawford to be back in June or July. So at the end of all of this stuff, I don't think that Terence Crawford, again, really wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. It does not sound as if from BOMAC that is a high priority. And I think it is something that they feel like they really can do without. And is going to lead people again to say, look, it's just because he doesn't think he can beat Errol Spence Jr. I can't tell you whether that is the case or not because they've never said that. However, it does seem at the very least that they figure, look, man, 3 sparring matches over 1 difficult fight. If we can get the money over 3 sparring matches instead of 1 battle, let's take the 3 sparring matches. And then more than likely, we'll talk about it next year. And then at the point in time where they run out of the sparring matches to get, then they will, actually take the big fight with Errol Spence Jr., which at that point in time may very well be gone. And to me, at the very least, it seems like a mathematical equation for them because you can say, okay, we're going to get $3 million here for Alexis Rocha. Then we can get $3 million or $4 million for Virgil Ortiz if they actually want to take their competition level up that high. Because truthfully, once they get past Alexis Rocha, they don't even have to fight anybody of the caliber of a Virgil Ortiz because they have another 18 months before another mandatory is put on them. So, and every difficult fight that they've had, or the most difficult fights that he's had, have all come in a situation where they were mandatories, right? It's kind of like the opposite of Gary Russell Jr., where all he got was mandatories, and they were hard mandatories. And they weren't any voluntaries in between. Terence Crawford is like, look, man, I'm taking all easy. It looks like he's taking all easy voluntaries. And then, he'll take, and then if somebody puts him in a situation to be that mandatory where it's a difficult fight, then at that point in time, he's going to do that. So maybe that's what Errol Spence Jr. actually needs to do in order to make the fight, drop all the belts and become Terence Crawford's mandatory. Like Sean Porter. But anyway, man, it's just not really not a good look. The way that BOMAC sounded talking about that, just even referring to that fight, Alexis Rocha, as a sparring match. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, like why would you say that? Even though in the back of my mind, I think to myself, yeah, that's pretty much what it looks like. But we'll see what happens. Because you know what it is, man. Eventually, you get cute, you run into something, like you wind up saying, okay, funny things happen when you're not taking top level competition, right? And you were kind of like coasting through and having a bunch of easy fights in a row. You may jump out there and somebody just has an exceptional night. You're not quite there. You wind up not getting a knockout. It goes to the scorecard. We're looking at an upset, and just off some silliness. But anyway, man, I wonder who the other fighter could possibly be who they were talking about fighting. But I'll tell you who it ain't. They ain't talking about going up there to fight Jermell Charlo. And they're not talking really about fighting Errol Spence Jr. So, maybe they're looking at, another BOK Prime, trying to find the second fight for them. I wouldn't be surprised. But anyway, it is what it is. That's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.